So, for the question, how many marriages is too many marriages? I feel like it all depends. I feel like there's a lot that goes into marrying someone. So some things you might want to factor in is if the person has children, or what weight the person is carrying, and the possible burden that you marrying the person may have to deal with. Debt, having children, depending on the age, whether the other ex-spouse is in the picture and is willing to take care of his part of responsibilities for his or her children. I feel at the point when many children are involved, or maybe even they're being neglected at some point, that's when society and maybe even the legal system should be brought into play, or have a say in it, or dissuade someone towards not getting married. I do, coming from parents that did divorce, I have like pros and cons of people getting divorced. So some of the pros I would say is, me personally, I seen that my parents were a lot happier. They were able to even have conversation, where before they were so unhappy, and you can tell, you could just walk into the room and almost cut the tension with a knife. Once they were divorced, it made things easier. Now, my sister and I, we were living with my parents at the time, and we were older. So, really, it was our decision whether we wanted to stay with my father or if we wanted to go with my mother. But when you're dealing with smaller children, they don't really have that decision, so that decision is pretty much made for them. So children can be affected, so you want to make sure you weigh all your options before making a decision that can really affect even your child. As said in the book, even children are not greatly affected by divorce. In the beginning, you may run into some issues. They may deal with anger or anxiety, but over time, as they grow up into adults, it shouldn't affect them greatly. So a second shift female employee or spouse, what it is a mother who is not only a mother, but she's also a working mother. So a mom who may work a full-time job, and then she comes home and now she is taking care of her children full-time. So it's basically 2 full-time jobs. This trend, I feel, exists a lot more today, but rather than in previous years or previous decades, because before, women were not really the breadwinners. They stayed home, they took care of the house and the children, whereas now women are out there getting educations, and now they are having careers and making their own money, and they want to be seen as equal. for things like the second shift, for women to change, some expectations would have to lay partly on your spouse, so the husband. So things that you don't usually see men doing, they may have to pick up the slack, such as housework. So whether it be throwing out the garbage or sweeping, mopping, doing dishes, picking up the children from the soccer games or things like that, doing laundry, all of those things would help to change this whole idea and trend of second shift parenting.